Miss Taylor Bloedon, Ph.D., nutritionist.
Registered Dietitian.
Oh, see, this is where we start. This is where we start. So we are currently at Cal Poly Humboldt, where you are the co-department chair.
Yeah.
It's so exciting.
Sure.
I'm excited for you.
Okay.
I feel honored that you are here. And we asked you here to the B movement today to talk all about hormones and all dietary everything during that transition between perimenopause, menopause, postmenopausal. What should we be doing and why? But first, let's start with the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist.
You can call yourself a nutritionist anytime.
Oh, I don't need a degree.
Yeah. You don't need a degree.
I'm a nutritionist.
Dietitian. So you'll see RD, registered dietitian, or you'll see RDN, registered dietitian nutritionist. And I could be either or. You can choose because RD is the traditional, but trying to own that word nutritionist back because it's really confusing for people.
Yeah.
Because you'll see someone at GNC that's just, they read the GNC log book of what they're supposed to say about the products and they'll call themselves a nutritionist. So you don't necessarily have to have, there's no credentialing, there's no education behind it. So you could call yourself a nutritionist.
Great.
I know.
That at the bat on the rest of my
Look, the fun sticker, we got dietitian, and then it's even just like some people spell it with a C, so then it's just funny. But yes, I had to earn that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Where did you go to school?
I went to, for my master's, where I focused on the nutrition, was Oregon State University.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I did my dietetic internship at Maricopa County in Phoenix, Arizona.
Wow. Yeah. Look at you. All of us done. Okay, so I have so many questions for you. Are you taking clients, patients on right now, or is your load full?
My load is full right now.
Okay.
But
okay,
my hope is to continue to get more. I do have a few that I work with on a regular basis, and then sometimes I'll do additional consulting work with others.
Okay.
And then, so I'm also a national board certified health and wellness coach. So I usually use that approach with it.
Of course.
So I'll get some that like come and mainly focus thinking overall health coaching, but with that. Okay. So right now, no.
Okay. Yeah. You're busy. You're busy. But maybe you could give us some people that you would recommend.
Yeah. There's even if you go to the eatright.com,
okay.
Is it .com.org? Eatright.org. I should know this. But you can go and there's a whole directory of dietitians even listed in different areas. So who's located to you, who specializes in renal, who specializes in eating disorders, women's health, or there's a huge gamut of it. And you can go and find practitioners that are listed. And the same thing for health and wellness coaches. You can go and see them and see their credentials going through the national board body. And you have a website, you can find everyone. Probably much like physical therapist, I would imagine. Yeah.
Awesome. Great resource. Okay. What do we do? Jumping into this fabulous change of life.
Fabulous is a great word.
We were talking just prior to this that both of us didn't sleep last night. You can see, am going through a hormonal change in my acne on my face.
It's fun time.
It's
I was talking about that with my daughter last night. And she's like, I'm doing a good job washing my face. She doesn't have any. She's going to be 12 on Friday.
Oh.
And so it's preparing early. And she's like, at what point do I have to not worry about it? And I started laughing. She's like, why are you laughing? I'm like, because I don't know that it ever really stopped. Just thanks.
Maybe.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me getting excited forward to. I'm like, it definitely gets better usually around your 30s, but then there's sparks and flares. And I was like, hormones are this wonderful thing.
They are.
Yeah.
So what nutrition-wise can we do to support those hormones?
So many things. The fun thing or the great thing about the nutrition part of it is that really most of the nutrition guidelines that would help anyone going through transition through menopause is going to help anyone manage their health and well-being throughout their lifespan anyway.
Suck it to me.
It's really like what everyone should be doing on a regular basis anyway. And like you'll read online, there's a lot of predatory things going for menopausal and postmenopausal women, supplements. This one food is going to turn on this or it's going to turn off that or right. I know, the sensationalized things like here's this magic food or magic blend. And there's a lot of predatory behavior out there, especially with supplements for any type of supplement. There's huge list of symptoms that just completely affect so many aspects of your life. come to the point where they're desperate and they want to go for that.
Yeah.
They want to try the specific things with the strict, rigid diet plans that are out there. And the truth is that those don't work. And it just continues to perpetuate the restriction mindset that's out there with eating that gets most people into the place that they are anyways, being unhappy. Their weight.
Yeah.
Like most of the time. Their weight
Yeah.
or the most common complaint during menopause and that transition is weight gain and body pain.
Yeah. And so a lot of people, and that's one of the things, is this, they call
Yeah.
it the, what is it? Fat tire? Flat tire? What is it? Not flat tire.
It wouldn't be flat. Yeah. Yeah.
It wouldn't be flat.
Yeah.
It would be very big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you're like, you can weigh. In the past, I was an employee wellness manager at the University of Maine.
Okay.
And a lot of people would come in, and most of the women I would come in, they are going through perimenopause or postmenopause. And they're like, no matter what I do, it's just, I keep gaining weight, or it's like, all of a sudden, how do I get rid of this?
Yeah.
And when the hormone shift, you go from the gluteal femoral, like your button thighs, and then that shifts up to the abdominal area.
Oh, so
And
fun.
They're like, the scale hasn't changed, but everything changes of like where you're holding it and how you're holding it. And things aren't fitting the same. And so the go-to, what would be the first thought that most women would have when that happens?
Well, you already nailed it, right? Restriction.
Yeah, restriction.
Right.
I got to cut more calories. And half the time women are not even eating enough calories anyway. So that's a natural shift. And I think it's like on average, about 1.5 pounds that are gained per year as you go through that.
I can't wait.
Joy goes to that transition. And even like where you're storing your fat, if it goes up to your abdomen, then you're going from like in the visceral adipose tissue that's underneath your abdominal wall. So versus the like the jiggly softness on the outside, and then the harder, and it starts to accumulate. So you can be on average 5 to 8% in the visceral adipose tissue. And then postmenopause, you're going up 15 to 20%.
Wow.
Just from this shift in hormones and how your body is working into this, you're going to be storing it, and it all has to do with the hormone shifts. And then the dietary pattern. So it's like, where do we start? Because there's so many aspects of this influences this, but then this influences this.
Right. So dietary wise, where do we start?
It's shifting to eating more whole food.
Okay.
And that's probably one of the hardest things. Is time is mostly often limited for people, time to cook, prepare, and especially right now financially, how do I buy these foods? And the reality is whole foods are actually less expensive overall if you think about, especially per bite, what you're getting from whole foods versus getting like that microwave quick meal or that prepackaged thing that you can easily throw together. But that's going to metabolize more quickly. It's going to break down quickly. You're not getting the vitamins and minerals. You're not getting the fiber. And so the cost of that initially might seem less. So I can get that for $5 versus I have to buy this.
Right.
But those are usually larger, bulker items, right? And they can last. But then the offset cost is also healthcare expenses are really a lot. So it's a future investment. And now how do you spend your money? That can be a toss up, but increasing plant food. So that's fruit, vegetables, whole grain, nuts, seeds, legumes, all of those wonderful things that help your gut health, that help your skin, your mind, like everything for everyone.
Skin?
Yeah.
Did you say skin? I
Skin
so well.
Yeah. That's
the
fun.
hormone.
It's the hormones. And like naturally, no matter what, this hormones changes because of menopause, but then there's also the aging changes that are so it's like twofold of all of the fun things that are happening. So your estrogen levels are going down. So that's going to shift also leptin. You know what leptin is? Yeah. So leptin is it's going to be a hormone that's produced that helps your body say, hey, you can stop eating now. I've got plenty stored. Yeah. And that cross communication starts to go down. Adiponectin levels start to go down. Your insulin resistance starts to go up. So just the way that you're going to metabolize the food that you're eating anyway is going. And it's hard not to eat all the processed and over processed foods. And that just it's like an igniter for all of the things that are already happening.
Okay, so I have 2 questions in regards to that.
So I'll go all over the place.
I know, I love it. I love it. I love it. We also were talking before that both of us tend to talk pretty fast.
Only 1,000 miles per hour.
So this might be an episode where you don't need to listen to it on 1.5 speed or higher, but maybe to each his own.
Yes.
Okay, so back to the restricted diets.
Yes.
So I have friends and patients who are like, I don't eat until 11 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
What does that do for your metabolism?
Not a whole lot of good.
Okay.
And that's what's hard to believe, because most of the time you're reading so much stuff about intermittent fasting. And there's some great evidence out there that fasting can be beneficial. But when you think about what your body and your mind are doing throughout the day, when are you most active? You're using your mind and your body throughout the day.
Yeah.
But there's also so much evidence and research that shows how amazing eating breakfast is, and eating within 30 minutes to an hour of waking, and how that sets up your whole day up for success. So you can intermittent fast. That just means you're eating your breakfast within, 30 minutes to an hour of waking. You're eating consistent, reliable meals and snacks throughout the day, and you stop earlier when you're at home and you're more sedentary. Your energy levels start to go down. So you're not having to process that food overnight, which can wreak havoc on your blood glucose and how you're storing and using energy. It put the fuel in when your brain and your body need it.
Okay.
And that'll also prevent you from doing the overeating in the evening as well, as that makeup. Your body can only take in so much food at any given period of time. So the smaller that window gets, the harder it is to, you want to be eating higher fiber food. And so those are going to be really bloating. If you're eating a load, you can't usually get it. So people tend to eat fewer of the foods that are actually going to be beneficial for them, because that window closes, and it can be filling it short term, but then you get hungry again. And you can restrict yourself into avoiding foods for so long, but eventually your body has so many different mechanisms, neurotransmitters, things that just are screaming at you. You should eat food. You should eat that one. You should eat that one. And you get to the point where your willpower wears down, and you lose, and women in particular, I could go on about our society and the messages we send.
Right.
It's overwhelming to the point where it's hard to kind of control that or manage that intake, because your body will scream at you until you get it what it needs.
And but that's where like the sugars.
Oh, your body, fat, sugar, and salt.
Yeah.
So what foods your hormones they know exactly what they want. They want it now. And we want it to be satiating. We also want it to be highly palatable, because those foods are like, that would be delicious right now. It's going to be satisfying. That dopamine hit is yes. And you'll actually get firing of the dopamine even before you eat the food, the more that you do it. And so you're like, oh, I already feel good knowing I'm going to do it. And then 30 minutes later, you're like, why? Starting off with breakfast is ideal. And
what should we eat for breakfast?
Eating higher protein in the breakfast would be good.
Okay, what?
If you eat animal products, you can have like eggs with some spinach, or eat whole wheat toast, or oats, and having, if you're not eating, the eggs or something like that, having more nuts and seeds and beans, black beans, but even if you eat eggs, or black beans and potatoes and seasoned vegetables or something on there can be really good. And that stuff you can have ahead of time, and then you just heat it up in the morning. But higher protein, higher fiber in breakfast is going to maintain your blood glucose throughout the day, and will actually lower sugar cravings throughout the day.
I love it.
So if you're having a smoothie, a lot of people like smoothies because they're easy and they're fast and you can get it and go. You want to make sure that you're not sipping on it for hours, just like little sips, but actually give your body the sensation of feeling satisfied. So eating just too many little snacky things all day never gives your body that sense of satisfaction. You don't have to be full and stuff, right?
Right.
But like it's a comfortable level so that it can actually work and metabolize.
Sit down and have a meal.
If you can sit and eat your breakfast, that's even better, and just regain your mental focus. But if you make a smoothie, you can add in tofu in there, and you don't even have to. You can use the smooth, or you can use the thick, anything like that. Throwing in nuts and throwing in that, or yogurt, some chia seeds. I have a very picky son. Steamed carrot pureed in there, steamed pumpkin pureed in there, avocado can go in there. Cauliflower, when you steam it and puree it can get a little bit weird, but do not steam your kale or your spinach, because I did that once and then put it in. It's disgusting in my opinion. But I will just make these like hockey pucks of just blended up super greens or whatever. Yeah. And then you just like hockey puck of greens, hockey puck of carrots, I love whatever. It. And then adding the fruit, but getting some protein and extra fiber in there. A lot of people are mostly just fruit based, but that has, even though it's great and there's fiber and there's nutrients, you're not getting protein in there. Yeah. So that's a great way to start. And then that way you are reducing your sugar craving, avoiding artificial sweeteners in there. In general, we should be not having non-nutritious sweeteners. But
what about honey?
Honey is great. It's a natural sugar.
Yeah.
So again, if you're not vegan, you can go with agave. Yeah. High loads of agave can be problematic for some people if you're fructose intolerant, but you'd have to have a lot.
I just put a little bit of honey in my tea.
Yeah. Honey can actually, if you're like if you're going to wake up first thing in the morning and you're going to go and exercise and you're like not going to eat anything, even just squirting a tablespoon of honey in your mouth is beneficial for anyone.
Fascinating.
Especially for athletes because you want to get going. So if you're someone who exercises regularly, even if you're going through menopause, having something within 30 minutes of exercise is better than having nothing, especially if it's higher intensity.
Okay.
So if you're going from an overnight fast and you want to get up early in the morning and you're like, I don't want to eat anything, but like literally honey bear squirted in your mouth or fruit leather, something that's really simple sugar. Most people would think that's not going to be good, but it just kickstarts everything. And you're going to use that and it's going to get your body revving. So higher intensity, and then you just eat your higher protein breakfast after.
Okay.
Carbohydrates are still good, but
yeah,
I'm not just going to eat just carbs.
Protein.
Just going to eat jerky for breakfast. Protein, bro.
Okay. So that brings up, so people, there's a big whole thing about how much protein,
protein's big now.
Perimenopause, menopause, postmenopausal women should be eating, and in what time frame they should be eating according to exercise. Do we?
Yeah, it's all humans. It's just the dose is dependent on what you're doing.
Okay.
Even if you are a big, just like huge weightlifter and you're just pushing a heavy ton of weight and you're a well-developed muscular male, you can't metabolize more than 2 grams per kilogram of your body weight of protein throughout that day. Like you will just pee it out. And I always tell, like, especially usually athletes that overdo the protein, but I'm like, you see that sweet urine in there? Look at those are dollar bills just going right out. Because especially if you're eating lots of like whey protein or supplements, they're expensive, and animal protein is expensive. And that's usually the 2 ways that people are getting their high doses of protein.
Yeah.
But you're not able to metabolize more than that. We would give someone if they're like in a highly stressed situation. So we were thinking like high environmental stress, like someone might actually pop around that corner and get you. You haven't slept in days. You're carrying heavy gear. You're in the elements. We can go up to 2.5 or 3 grams per kilogram. Of course, like your burn victims can go that higher dose. But otherwise, you can't process and metabolize all of that.
Okay.
And if you look at half of the recommendations out there, they're well over that amount. And
so what I felt like there was someone, of course, that I follow on Instagram, but 30 grams of protein with each meal.
That can be a lot. We don't even recommend athletes unless you are doing, if you have large mass. So think about, I know, like a tight end or something, like they've got large mass. They're doing big, heavy dynamic lifts. We can give them like 40 grams in recovery, but most time it's about 20 grams per, 20 gram dose or bolus at any given period of time.
Okay.
It's relative to your size and what you're doing. So if you're the average recommendation for the average person is 0.8 grams per kilogram of protein. Most people are eating 1 to 1.1 anyway. Okay. And athletes in the development, like building, because you're working hard, you're getting at 1.6, 1.7 on average. Sometimes we'll go a little bit higher. Yeah. Up to that 2.2 grams per kilogram. And we know we're going to have spillover, but it's a buffer sometimes.
Totally.
But if you figure out grams per kilogram, if you're at like 1.4, that's a pretty decent amount. Especially if you're not even training heavily.
Right.
You can take that, and then ideally the recommendation of 30 grams per meal is spacing it out, and spacing your protein out is ideal. So if you take that amount that you would have, let's say 1.3 grams per kilogram or something, then take that and divide it out between your meals. And so that consistency, especially as you age, is really beneficial for your bones and your muscles to keep it maintained. Because the ups and downs of the protein intake are also going to change the way that your body is using it. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay, so is that, say you're not exercising.
Yeah.
And which we all know that's very important and we should be.
Yeah.
But say you're not exercising, but you're like, oh, I've been told I need to eat all this protein. How is that affecting your adipose tissue?
It can be a variety of factors. More protein doesn't always mean that it's problematic. It can depend on where you're getting it. Higher getting it, higher doses than you need. Again, you're just going to get rid of the extra. But if you're getting higher doses from supplement forms, I will tell you, I could not find one single protein powder supplement at Costco and most of the grocery stores that don't have non-nutritive sweeteners in it. Just on a side note.
Oh, interesting.
Because we're at this time where it's like, protein's good, sugar's bad. And so we're trying to have these like really high protein snacks and supplements and things, and then no sugar, low sugar.
Yeah.
But yet everyone still wants it to taste sweet. So we have this weird offset. So high levels of protein, especially if you're coming from a lot of animal and processed sources, you're going to end up having an increase in saturated fat. And so that's not always
fascinating.
beneficial.
No.
And depending on how processed the food is.
Right.
So like high levels of process, like I'm eating hot dogs, I'm eating processed meats and things like that.
Yeah.
You're also getting the other ingredients, the binders, the thickeners, the nitrates, the things that are going to do detrimental effects to your inflammatory response, your gut health.
Right.
Which most chronic diseases related to chronic inflammation. And so you're not really helping yourself in that regard. Like you might be eating high grams of protein and that's satiating. Protein and carbohydrates are really satiating.
Right.
So that makes you feel fuller longer. And that is a way that people will cut, is to bump up the protein because you feel full. And then that'll kind of offset. And then they're eating less. Ideally, you're getting your protein sources from more plant sources than you. So you can have animal sources. You just want to not have an excessive amount of animal sources or processed food sources because it can impact your inflammatory response, your cardiovascular disease risk. So nuts and seeds and legumes, so that people are like, but those are high in calories and they're high in fat. Right. Like a quarter cup of sunflower seeds is around 200 calories. It's not very many almonds. That's like 23 almonds is an ounce, and it's like almost 200 calories. But
they're delicious.
But they're delicious, and they have fiber, and they have all these other vitamins and minerals that your body is they're really going to dig. Yeah. So those are better ways of having protein. Whey protein sources, or the supplement type thing, they're meant to get into your system quickly. Right. When you want that right after exercise is ideal. But as a meal replacement or those types of things, it can also increase your risk for skin issues. So
I don't do it.
If you're not having lots of, like a lot of, I've had a lot of even like athletes, I don't know why I'm breaking out so much. I'm like, let's just not do these things. And their skin will sometimes clear up. Plus they're not hydrating enough. So if you're eating a lot of protein, you've got to hydrate because that's your body's going to get rid of that nitrogen through your urine. And so a lot of people aren't hydrating enough either. And so that combination is not necessarily great for your kidneys right now. You drink. I do a water drinking game when we talk about hydration and nutrition class. I have someone with a timer and they're like, drink every 10 minutes. Like,
how fun. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. Again, we're all over the place.
All over the place.
No, I love this. This is where I'm in.
Me in.
How much water should we be drinking a day?
At least half your body weight in ounces of water.
Okay.
And so if you were in the hospital and I was giving you TPN and I'm going to give you your fluids to your veins, I would do it based on like Lersberg. It would do it differently, but it equates to about half your body weight in ounces of water.
Okay.
The more that you sweat, the more that you move, the more water you're losing, so the more you need to replace. And so that can get up to 1 ounce per pound, but that's like pretty heavy sweat. Now that's a lot.
Okay, so how does that equate to how many to water bottles? This is 40 ounces.
So 40 ounces. You might be trying to go for 2 of those.
Okay.
Depending on how much you weigh. So half your body weight, take your body weight, divide it in half. And that's the minimum amount of ounces. You do get the more fluid-based foods that you're eating, then that's going to count. Coffee, it's about, you can estimate, I'm going to absorb about 80% of this. The more coffee cups you have, the more you're going to activate you're going to start to pee more. And so you're going to absorb less of that, but it's a mild diuretic.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the best thing that you can do is to gauge how hydrated you are is the color of your urine.
Totally.
Light yellow.
Totally.
Straw. And if it's clear for too long, then you are hydrated too much and you just need to like chill a little bit. Yeah. But first morning urine's always dark. But if it stays dark too long, then that's not good. Most people are like, but I don't want to get up and pee. After a time, you balance it out. And at first your body's, I don't even know what to do with all of this luxurious food. I'm just going to like flush, but you get into routine and it's a lot easier. But hydration will make your joints feel better. You'll sleep better. Your breath will be better. Everything is better.
Yeah.
Hydration is like so easy to do, but it's so hard to do.
I talk about it so much with the pelvic floor.
Yeah.
Because that's how you decrease stress incontinence. That's how you decrease urge incontinence. That's how you have healthy bowel movement. So I'm a huge hydration pusher as well.
Yeah.
As well. Okay. What about creatine? That's another one.
Yeah.
People are all about it. Instagram's like, hey, menopausal women, creatine.
Yeah. There's still like some of the research on the newer research on creatine for like menopausal symptoms and brain health and aging. There still needs to be more, but it so far does look pretty promising without any a lot of negative side effects. But you really only need that 5 grams a day. You don't have to build up. You can at first if you haven't had any. You can go for usually if you want to get a good one, like you want to get one that has been third party tested, so it's not going to have any of the other stuff in there.
None of those sweeteners.
No, you just need the creatine monohydrate. 5 grams a day, and that's it. And you can slowly build up if you want to, but then that's really all you need. You don't need to go higher.
Yeah.
And that seems to be an adequate amount to be beneficial.
Okay. And again, that's after exercising, that like
You can
30
even
minutes
do it
or
in the
so.
morning.
Okay.
Especially if you're not exercising, even if it's just part of your morning routine, is to get
Yeah.
up and have that. As far as like the potential for brain health and menopause health, but there is more. You can't say definitively at this point, but it doesn't seem so far there's any harm. I was really nerding out on the creatine and menopause for a while. I was like, this is actually pretty cool.
Okay.
People are skeptical in a lot of ways because the creatine got so much hype for a while and people were abusing it, not using it right. And so many supplements were having additional ingredients not listed or in higher doses than they were, So
Yeah.
and so I can get it I told my husband, and it was like, we're going to start doing super creatine. What's up, bro? And it's like, I get swollen. I get my swollen. Get my swollen. Yeah. Well, you're not going to get your swollen unless you're lifting really heavy also. It's not like all of a sudden you're going to be like,
right.
which is
right.
a fear for a lot of women.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I feel like my body type, I just like, I lift 5 pounds and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
What's up?
And then some women were like, I'm so jealous.
And I'm like,
I do that?
I feel like, and it's like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Just calm down. But bodies change.
Bodies do change
Hormones
over time.
change. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, again, number one complaint. Second complaint is libido and sex difficulty and like libido going down, dryness, all of those things. And that's one of the things that no one ever talked about. One of my grad students.
We do.
Yeah. One of my grad students postmenopausal, and she's in part of her research is no doctor has ever asked me.
No.
And then we surveyed, it was like quality of life for postmenopausal women and looking at their risk factors for cardiovascular disease. And many of them were complaining about those things. And also just the lack of knowledge and awareness and conversation around it. It's so taboo. And she's like,
that's why we're doing this.
We talk about sex all the time with our friends. It's just, you have like, we went from that tribe and community to just where people shared life and they knew how to manage life to isolation and shame.
So is there any foods to help with libido?
There's foods by itself. Again, if you're trying to get the whole gamut of intake for phytonutrients, all of the wonderful things, it's trying to get a variety of plants. Ideally, you're getting 30 to 40 different plants and herbs over the course of a week. That's like the gut health challenge type things. And then the herbs can be really beneficial. But if you're doing that, it's also trying to get the variety of colors because each of those different bioactive compounds and the colors of the fruits and vegetables and plants can really be beneficial in different ways. So rounding all of those things out is great because, you can't get everything from one food. It's all of those, the whole matrix of the food versus I'm going to go take an extract of that because like anthocyanins are supposed to be good, but it's not the same as when it's activated in the whole food. Plus you get the fiber and everything else. It's better than juicing because you're not getting the whole matrix.
Right.
And there's a variety of supplements that have even been out there that are natural based herbs, right? Ashwagandha, all those things that there's low or moderate or potential effects for some people. And it's variable because everyone experiences it different. So a supplement for you is going to work, and maybe it's not going to work for me. A lot of women in our study were using CBD or CBD with a touch of THC as well. Because the other list, I guess I'll go all over the place, but when you're talking about like specific foods, there's not like a magic bullet that do anything specifically. Yeah. No.
Other people are like, chocolate, wine.
Yeah.
And it's like,
there's great components there. And they have been found to be beneficial, but you're just like, there's an amount that is going to be beneficial. If lettuce is great, right? Kale is great, but if you eat nothing but that, you're going to get diarrhea or you're going to get clogged up. It's not, there's parameters within there. Yeah. But I can't say any one specific food or anything like that. It would just be on average, and these are fun to do. I have my students do for challenges and a couple of classes is how many plant foods am I eating this week? If you eat a banana today and you eat a banana tomorrow, that's one plant, right? So you're looking for variety. So those with diversity in their diet tend to do better overall, like managing inflammation, managing gut health. But when your gut health is doing well, that cross communication with your brain is going to help with your food and your sleep and all of the different hormone regulation and inflammatory response. So it's the cluster of all those things working together. If you look at it holistically, it's what everyone should be doing. So you don't have to be like, I have to eat this way for menopause. And if you're in a straight relationship, my husband has to eat this way, or then my kids have to eat this way. So no, like literally every single person in that family is going to benefit from this. It's just the serving sizes that you're having.
Right.
And maybe the time points of I need a snack more frequently than that person does, or I don't want snacks. So there's some preferences within there, but there's not a mix.
Okay.
Oh, everyone
Okay.
wants to know those things, but no,
I know. I know. What about maca?
Oh,
Do you know about that? Not really.
matcha?
Matcha. I said
Okay.
it
I
wrong.
was like,
I said it wrong.
right.
No,
Like
matcha.
tea. Well,
Mhm.
tea is great.
Yeah.
Any of those types of teas are good. Obviously, if you're having matcha, you can get higher, and it depends on how you're getting it too. Because if you
Right.
buy it in a
Full form.
pre-made thing, then oftentimes it has a ton of sugar or artificial sugar or something like that in
Got
it.
it.
But if you're making it yourself and doing it, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Those things can be good.
Yeah.
And coffee is the number one source of antioxidants for Americans.
Totally.
And green tea is worldwide, it's really high, and there's some great anti-inflammatory properties in there, and it's,
Yeah.
they increase fat oxidation. And matcha would be in there too, but you can end up having too much caffeine isn't good either because it's going to increase anxiety, which increases anyway as a side effect of hormone shifts in menopause, anxiety and depression. Yeah.
Lame.
I know it's not fun. If you couple the natural things that happen as you get older, as you go through menopause, increase in anxiety, increase in depression, mood changes. And
Pelvic floor health changes.
And your pelvic floor changes. And you have just those things in and of itself. And if you're eating a diet that's also increasing your risk for anxiety and depression because it's a process, it's restricted. It's in time places that are not beneficial. So you're eating a lot maybe later in the evening because you're like, I've been so good today. And I had just a yogurt for breakfast and I had just a salad for lunch and I had just a bowl of almonds. And then I'm freaking starving.
Right.
And then I ate dinner, but while I'm making dinner, I'm also having a glass of wine and then I'm having some snacks and then I have some chocolate at night and then I have some chips at night because your body is, you're going to eat and it's going to be so overwhelming that you're not going to be able to manage that because it's the restricted mindset in and of itself.
Yeah.
Your restricted mindset in and of itself. So I'm telling you, I'm going to go all over the place.
I love it.
Just the way thoughts you're having when you're eating the food can change the way your body metabolizes and stores the food.
That is so fascinating.
I know. And so if you're already dealing with a slower system because you're getting older and your hormone changes are, how you're going to use the food anyway is changing because your leptin levels are different. Your adiponectin levels are different. Your insulin response is going to be different. And then you're like, shame, you shouldn't be eating it.
Right.
You should all over yourself. And then your body will literally change the way you process that food and not for the better.
Right.
Shame eating is not ever a good thing. And most people don't even recognize that they are shame eating.
Right.
And like in the time, sometimes in the moment, because that dopamine hit comes early, like it's rewarding, I deserve this, this is okay, or whatever it may be. And then later it hits. That's not good.
No.
And then it continues. It's like this vicious cycle that happens all the time.
Oh, why do we do this to ourselves?
Because society has taught us for so unbelievably long that you need to, especially
look a certain way, eat a certain way, be a certain way,
all of the things. And they do it for men now, and men more now. It's getting harder for them than it used to be for them, but it was never really that easy for them. But women were hit with a really big target. If you think about women now are going through menopause or they're postmenopausal, there was not this level of acceptance. It was very like low stream, side stream, or different cultures that were actually enhancing that self-love and enjoy your body. And that is not natural. That is not this. But for the mainstream population, you were told to just suffer, be quiet, stay small,
suck it in
mentally. Yeah. All of those things. And don't lift too much because that'll make you too masculine and like the constant messaging. And so many women have gone through very many periods throughout their entire lives trying to change their body. Like your bodies change, but also people try to change their bodies, and especially earlier on. And that causes changes early on in your metabolism.
Yeah.
That cause these long-term outcomes later.
Big time. And tell me if I'm wrong, but eating disorders in that teenagehood lead to osteoporosis.
Oh, for sure.
Lead to all sorts of crazy things happening later on. I just have seen it in so many of my patients.
Yeah. Oh, I imagine because you're getting them now where they have these different reoccurring injuries.
Right.
And it's because they didn't ever reach their peak bone density.
Exactly.
And then they also were past that time still struggling and they were losing the ability to maintain that bone density. Right. And bone density naturally is going to go down anyway with hormone shifts and aging.
Exactly.
So regardless if you were assigned male at birth, you're still going to have a decrease in your bone density. But those who have female hormones are going to have a greater level of that decrease because of those changes, and a decrease in lean mass. And another lovely side effect oftentimes for women is muscle aches and pains and joint pain.
Right.
So how fun is it to go and exercise when you're
not feeling good?
You're tired because you're not sleeping well because you've had hot flashes and you had night sweats, right? You have increased stress, and that's going to change your response, your cortisol response. And you're changing the way your hormones are sitting in your body. So you feel, and also GI distress and bloating, dry mouth. So all of these things are all connected to, and then mood changes. So you have the hormones, like what you want to eat, when you want to eat, how you want to eat, and then how your body processes it, how it changes it. Your body aches and it hurts, and you're naturally losing lean mass and bone density. And the thing that can help that is to exercise, but it hurts too much and you're too tired and you've been working all day, and then you have maybe kids and maybe you have parents that you're also taking care of, a partner that you may be taking care of. You may have to work multiple jobs.
Yeah.
And it's never ending. And especially if you're coming off of a history of disordered eating when you were younger, that you go up and down, weight cycling, that means like gaining and losing, which many people do, especially looking at the population we have now of women.
Yep.
Who are postmenopausal have gone through years of weight cycling. And that will change your metabolism. And that is actually worse than maintaining a heavy weight throughout your life. If you look at increased risk for comorbidities and cardiometabolic, just weight cycling of its own is a risk factor for cardiovascular. When you just stay the same weight, you're just a little bit heavier. That's okay. But maintaining your weight is better for your health
than you.
Yeah. But we hear so much that you need to lose weight. That weight is the single most important factor of your health, where weight is a symptom. It's a side effect of the storm that has been brewing underneath for so long. And it's mostly from societal influence about what you should eat and how you should look. And all of the things that come into play. And you should eat this. No, you shouldn't eat this. This is the diet you should do. That is the diet you should do. Like people are,
what am I supposed to do?
I know. I don't know. If I say bad words, how bad is that?
No, it's like, great.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Because they're just, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I can't win. And then, so they're gaining weight and they're gaining it in their abdomen. And so it's very obvious. It can be physically uncomfortable. Your hands get tighter. Clothes are expensive.
Yeah.
It can be very demoralizing. And so we're just going to cut more calories and we're going to restrict. But then that slows your metabolism down. Mm-hmm. And then you can't always maintain that because your brain and your body are like, you should probably eat. And then you eat and your body's, I'm going to hold on to that.
Right.
Because I don't know when you're going to feed me again. Right. So it's an entire system problem that our society puts on an individual.
Yeah.
And it's hard not to carry that weight. And especially for women or people who have been socialized as women for most of their life, or even people as socialized as women coming in later in life. It hits them hard because they've oftentimes been under the surface paying all close attention and internalizing that in another way. So it becomes quite the challenge to undo that whole system in your head.
Yeah.
Especially when you're still being like, this is your fault.
Right.
If you just did this.
Right. Shame.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where the collaborative approach to healthcare is pretty important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the insurance companies would have to
that's a whole, we're not even going to, that's a whole
change to have
downward spiral that I can't even dive into. Oh, I feel like I have so many questions, but
see, I love
it. I love it. Taylor, thank you so much. Stay tuned because we are going to do the female athlete at some point soon too. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. We touched on it.
Yeah.
But we'll get more specifics.
Yeah.
More specifics. Thank you so much for being here. And the V movement. Woohoo. I know the V movement. We are teaching a class down in Fortuna at Bodyworks. Allison and I are coming up. So stay tuned for that. And hopefully more to come. Again, thank you, Taylor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. All the links will be posted in the show notes, and we hope to see you at our upcoming class on Sunday, September 8th. Until next time, keep the V's in your life moving. The information shared in this podcast by Sarah, Allison, and our guest interviews are intended for educational, entertainment, and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. While we are licensed physical therapists, we are not your personal physical therapists, and no patient-provider relationship is formed. If you have any health concerns or questions, please consult your medical provider. The information on this podcast or any of our other platforms is to use at your own risk.